breathing system. Birds should have unlimited access to clean, fresh, good quality drinking water at all times. When water intake is naturally low, for example, during a dark period when birds are inactive, some control of water supply may help to reduce unnecessary water leakage and corresponding litter problem. Any such control need to be managed with care. There must be no restriction in the amount of water offered to growing birds, and balance must be found between growth, welfare, potential food, bad dermatitis. Inadequate water supply, either in volume or in number of drinking ponds, will result in reduced growth rate. To ensure that the flock is receiving sufficient water, the ratio of water to feed consumed each day should be monitored. Change in water intake can be an earlier indication of health and performance issues. Water consumption should be monitored daily using a water meter. Water meter must match flow rates with pressure. It's good practice to use water meters that measure water flow at low pressure to ensure the accurate measurement of water intake occur even for chicks and young birds. A minimum of 1 water meter is required per hour, but preferably more should be installed to allow within house zoning. Water requirement will vary with feed consumption. The birds are consuming sufficient water when the ratio of water volume to feed weight remain close to 1.8 to 1 for pail drinker, 1.7 to 1 for nipple drinker with cups, 1.6 to 1 for nipple drinker without cups. Water requirement will also vary with ambient temperature. Birds will drink more water at higher ambient temperature. Water requirement increases by approximately 6.5 per 1 increase in temperature over 21. In tropical areas, prolonged high temperature will double daily water consumption. In hot weather, it's good practice to flush the drinker lines at regular interval to ensure that water doesn't get too warm. Here the effect of water temperature on the water intake. Water temperature is then 5. Too cold reduce water intake. From 18 to 21, it's ideal temperature. Greater than 30, too warm reduce water intake. Above 44, birds refuse to drink. Adequate water storage must be provided on the farm in case of failure of main supply. Ideal sufficient storage to provide 24-hour water at maximum consumption is required. All drinkers should be checked for high, daily, and adequate adjusted if required. Drinkers should be maintained in clean condition, free from any litter and fecal material, and in good working order. Any build-up of calcium deposit should be removed using a suitable cleaning product during the house clean out process. Water quality in the region where good quality water is not readily available, it's often necessary to treat the water with, for example, chlorine, ultraviolet light, for it's consumed by the bird. Further information for biosecurity. Nipple drinker. Minimum nipple drinker requirement post-brooding are given. Additional supplement drinker should be supplied. The actual number of birds per nipple will depend on the flow rates within the breeding age climate. Nipple here, if nipple drinker meet the requirement more than kilogram, 12 birds per nipple. If we need the less than 3 kilogram, 3 birds per nipple. Nipple line should be flushed immediately prior to plasma, twice daily for first 4 days to ensure the chicks are supplied with cool fresh water. Drinking line heat should be low at the beginning of the flock, increased as the bird get older. Drinker lines that are too high can strict bird water consumption, while water lines that are too low can result in wet litter. In the initial stage of brooding, the nipple line should be placed at a height at which the bird is able to drink. The back of the bird should from here 35 with the floor while drinking is progress. As the bird grows, the nipple should be raised so the back of the bird form an angle of approximately 75 with the floor, and so the birds are stretching slightly like this when it's younger. It's older. Birds should be reaching for out, not stretching or straining to reach the nipple, so the water will flow directly from the nipple into the beak. If the nipple is too low, birds may turn their head to drink, causing water to fall onto the litter. For ease of access of optimum water availability, birds should be, where possible, be grown using 360 type nipple, which is particularly important where large birds are being flow rate. Nipple drinker flow rate should be checked on a weekly basis during the grower cycle to ensure that the water supply is high enough to meet maximum demands for daily water intake. Nipple drinker flow rates can be measured by placing the measured cylinder onto the nipple at the end of the nipple line to activate the flow of the water through the nipple for 1 minute. The amount of water in the measuring cylinder indicates the flow rate through each nipple in nipple line per minute. Higher than expected flow rate for age may increase leakage and related with litter problem. A lower than expected flow rate may not allow enough water for all birds to drink and lead to the problem with dehydration. Measuring the static flow rate of the nipple can help to identify the problem within the drinking system. Here, recommended flow rate at the age of giving. It's important that manufacturer recommendations are followed for the specific type of drinker being used. Here is the bird age from 0 to 7 days, 20 ml per minute, 7 to 21 days, 60 to 7 ml per minute, more than 21 days, 70 to 100 ml per minute. Bell drinker at placement. A minimum of 6 bell drinker, 40 cm for 17 in diameter, should be provided per 1000 word. Additional source of water in the form of 10 supplementary drinker per 1000 chicks should be available for at first 3 days. Bell drinker and supplementary drinker should be filled with water 1 hour period to chick replacement. This will ensure the water remains fresh and free from contamination, and that water temperature is adequate when the chicks arrive. As the broiler become older and the area of the house is expanded, the number of bell drinker 1000 should be increased. These should be placed evenly throughout the house, so that no broiler has to travel more than 2 meters to gain access to water. As a guide, water level should be 0.6 centimeters in below the top of the drinker until approximately 7 to 10 days of age. After 10 days of age, there should be about 0.6 centimeters of water in base of the drinker to prevent spillage. Bell drinker should have a ballast filter to keep them level. Additional mini drinker and trays used when chicks are day old should be removed gradually, so that by 3 to 4 days old chicks are drinking from the automatic drinker. Minimum drinker requirement per 1000 bird post brooding are given in this table. Bell drinker, 8 drinker, 14 cm or 17 inch in diameter per 1000 should be checked for heat daily and adjusted so that the base of the drinker is of the breast of the 18 days onwards. Here we find the birds find the drinker, make drinker water available to birds 24 hours a day, provide supplementary drinker for first 3 days of flock, monitor the feed to water ratio daily to check that water intake is sufficient, make allowance for increased water consumption at high temperature, flush drinker line in hot weather to ensure that the water is as cool as possible, just drinker heat daily, provide adequate drinker space and ensure that drinkers are easily accessible to all ports, keep drinker in a state of good repair, feeding system, For the first 10 days of life, feed should be provided in form of scramble or mini pelt. Feed should be placed in flat trays or in paper sheeting so that it's really accessible to the chicks. At least 80% of the floor should be covered with paper. Automatic seeding system should be flooded with feed at chick placement, allowing easy access to the starter feed. A total feed amount of approximately 40 grams per bird should be measured out and feed on the paper prior to chick placement or carry chick feeding behavior. Top up to feed on the paper regular interval during first 3 to 4 days. The change to the main feeding system should be made gradually from 4 to 5 as chick begin to show more and more interest in the main feeding system. Transition to the main feeding system should be completed by 6 to 7 days. Any feed trays should be removed by 7 days of age. When transition to the main feeding system is complete, feed should gradually be changed from scramble or mini pellet to good quality pellet. Note that birds should not receive full pellets before 18 days of age. Here, the actual type provided to the bird will depend on life weight, depend on age, climate, type of house. Here, the ban feeder 45-80 birds per ban. Allowed lower ratio for bigger birds. Flatted chain auger. Here the flatted chain auger 20.5 centimeter for bird. We allow 2.5 centimeter in tube feeder. Here the flatted chain and the tube feeder 70% per tube. All type of feeder should be adjusted to ensure minimum spillage or optimum access of the bird. The base of the trough and band should be level with the top of the breast. The height of the band and tube feeder may be adjusted individually. The height back chain feeder is adjusted by which feeder leg adjusted. Feed should be distributed equally and uniformly through the feeding system to allow equal opportunity to all birds to eat at the same time. Uneven feed distribution can result in lower performance, scratching, damage associated with competition for feeder. Grease feed spillage to ensure equal feed distribution. All depth adjustment settings should be set the same on each feed ban or tube. Ban and the tube feeder system may require adjustment to be made to each individual feeder. Adjustment of feed depth is easier with a chain feeder system as single adjustment to hover only is required. Careful maintenance of the chain feeder will minimize incidence of leg damage to bird. When managed correctly, ban and the tube feeder, if filled automatically, have the advantage that they are all filled simultaneously, making feed available to the bird immediately. The automated system should be regularly checked to confirm that bands or tubes are being filled correctly. When chain feeder are used, feed distribution takes longer to accomplish and feed is not immediately available to all the birds. In the early stage of the grow out, chain feeder should be monitored closely and run whenever feed level becomes too low. Feeder should only be empty if they are being cleared. Chain feeder will need to be run more frequently throughout the day as birds get older and eat faster to ensure that the feed remains stocked. The bird age, the frequency of feed, and here the linear relationship between the frequency of chain feeder up to bird age. Supplement the main feeding system using paper or tray over the first 3 days. Supply sufficient feeder for the number of birds in the house. Just feeder height daily so that the lip of the feeder is level with